Do you have a office building where these folks come
No,
in from 8 to 5?
everybody is virtual. I have only in this, minus some on-site employees, because of course they're all in the US. I only have 3 people in the United States. I have a personal assistant, a sales guy, and then a kind of a do everything person. She's excellent. She runs the CRM. She does customer service. She does so much stuff. The rest of them are virtual assistants in the Philippines. And I have one main virtual assistant that started with me in 2016. She is an absolute superstar, rock star, has a master's. She's awesome. She's in on profit sharing, everything. She's built like 6 homes in the Philippines now. She's living a great life. And she gets up. She told me she goes to sleep and wakes up thinking about gutters. Like, she's all in. And she has 3 sisters who work for her. And there's more people in the Philippines that aren't necessarily connected to her. Oh, I have one more person too who does data here in Orlando. And he also oversees some of the virtual assistants. He handles all the data now. He's actually my best friend. I brought him on.
Where did you go to find your virtual assistants?
Upwork. Yeah, I just want to, I don't know why. I got my mom's on thing. I have a bookkeeper. I have some other people in the States. So I messed up a little at, but they're just not really employees. They're just outsourced.
Right.
But I went to Upwork, upwork.com. What I do is I go in there, say you want a virtual assistant. I go on a Google Doc. I write down exactly what I want this person to do. I'm trying to find somebody with experience because I don't want to teach them to learn on my dollar necessarily. Now they're going to have to learn the gutter business, but like that woman, Grace, had already been a virtual assistant for 2 other companies. And she brought a lot of stuff. She knew stuff. She was like, hey, well, we could do this, or how about we use this? And I would just kind of like, once I trusted her, I just kind of let her run with it. And then as we were just overwhelmed, she was like, my sister is working on Upwork. And if she can work with you full time, I can train her. She lives, 5 minutes from me. She can come over every day. So they actually work together now, like 4 of them. So it's like, it's in her house though.
What did your interview process look like to know that she had the goods like she did?
Well, one of the ways I do on Upwork is I look at reviews and I sort them by 90% positive or above. But here's a trick. You have to have, it can't just be like a 5-star review. I need the person to have written a couple paragraphs about that person. The reason why is when these people do a job for you that's so simple, $100, they'll stalk you for 5-star reviews because they're trying to feed their family. Sure. So I know a lot of people like myself have just given people 5-star reviews, and maybe they are or not, and they don't write anything because they don't really. But if somebody like Grace, I say I sold my company, I would write Grace like 8 paragraphs about how great she was. So when I found Grace, she had paragraphs written about her. She's awesome. We just didn't have enough work. We sold the company. And I was like, she looks good. And the people who are actually in the States, I found them on Upwork too. I hired them as consultants and then brought them on as employees. So I look at reviews, written reviews. Then I do a Zoom call with them and I feel them out and ask them a bunch of questions just like you would in person. For our social media thing, for the Blue Collar Millionaire, I interviewed somebody yesterday and the interview didn't go well. I didn't think he could handle it.
So what kind of questions, because this is a real thing that happens with entrepreneurs, is the hiring process. I mean, if we took a poll, I believe that would by far be the biggest concern and struggle of most business owners is interviewing, hiring quality individuals that are coming in at a top performing level and really taking the reins and running the way that the employer was wanting them to run with.
Well, I'll tell you what I do is I've been doing this my whole life. I hire fast and I fire fast. So like when I had gutter guys on site, I literally hire them for a day. So I talk to them on the phone. I ask them questions that only somebody who's on ladders and roofs going to know. And they answer them. And then I say, hey, come out tomorrow. You can work with my crew. I'll pay you this. I'll pay you cash day one. If you like it and the team likes it, let's move forward. So I have an out at the end of the day. A lot of times they don't want to do it because they go out there and like, oh, this is hard, and I always do that. So I do the same thing with virtual assistants. I might start them on a really easy project. I'll say, hey, do this project for me. It's really easy. And if they knock it out the park, I give them another one. And then I give them a little harder. And now they've done 3 successful things for me over 2 weeks. I'll say, hey, do you want to come on full time? And you can do these 3 or 4 things. Do you think you can do it? And then I'll still say, hey, let's try it out for 2 weeks. And at the end of that, let's talk. And if you like it and I like it, we'll move forward. I always have that out because it makes it super easy to get out of it. Because a lot of times people don't want to be in it. They don't have the right mindset. They're just doing it for money. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. So I hire fast, but I fire fast.
What do you think is the biggest reason why so many people stay in that portion of, like you were, going to the clubhouse, cleaning the gutters out so that you could get some business, coming home, doing the accounting, making the phone calls, the invoicing, paying the bills,
Doing everything.
Doing everything.
Every single successful entrepreneur I know did that too long. Yep. I did it too long. Mark Evans did it too long. You probably did too long. Everybody does it too long. I think that it's like our baby and we don't want anybody to mess it up. If I look back 20 years ago, I used to come on site. I'd be on site and I'd be all over people, not yelling at them, but like, come on, man, you can't leave that like that. Like I'd be all over people because you have to get comfortable with people aren't going to do it as passionately as you. It's not their business. It's a job. So then you have to really create systems and methods to minimize the problems, make it easy for them. And then you just have to be okay with the growth. There's going to be some problems. And if you ever start thinking, oh, I'm going to fire everybody, I'll just do it myself. Because every entrepreneur thinks that sometimes. I mean, but what's the alternative? Then you go back and now you got all this work. I still want to let go of people. Sometimes I'm like, oh, forget it. I'll just do it myself. And then I think before I do that, I say, wait, did I just create 3 or 4 hours of work for myself? Because I got stuff to do.
Right.
You have to be okay with letting other people do it and make mistakes. But if the person has integrity and they want to get better and want to get learned, I've found that they will and it'll work. Sometimes I used to hire because I thought they had certain skill sets, but if they had the wrong attitude, it never works. So I really hire on attitude. And that's why that guy's attitude today I didn't like it. It wasn't bad. I was just thinking he doesn't really want to do this. He's just like trying to pay bills.
Yeah.
And I thought that's not really going to work. I want somebody so everybody on my team, I text them. I said, how do you like working for Gutter King? And they'll say like, I love it, and they'll write these things and I want them to be happy and give them opportunity to grow.